some students, UCM students as well, has been go for study exchange to UMY for almost one semester, and we frequently attended some conferences, seminars organized by UCM. And in fact, Prof, last October or last August, I was invited by your student community, FEM community, to conduct. I'm mistaken, the conference, FEM Mobility International Conference. I'm mistaken.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I was invited as one of the guest lecturers at the moment. So UCM and UMY, alhamdulillah so far, and inshallah Prof Ridwan next Wednesday also will share his humble knowledge to our students at UMY about Islamic finance. So here, Prof and dear students, I would like to just share my research, not research, it's just maybe some findings that I just deliver it to Jasa Keuangan in Malaysia, such as Financial Services Authority. Yeah. So I presented this paper to them, and highly appreciated by them, and even given rewards a month ago. Yeah. So I want to share with you as well. And this one is quite interesting because we try to measure the optimal portfolio positions of the financing contracts on Islamic Bank in Indonesia. And perhaps we can extend this research to Malaysian case. So here is just the outlines. And you see, my fellow students, that if we talk about Islamic banking, we cannot avoid to discuss about shocks and vulnerabilities. So shock here refers to the external environments or external factors that may impact to the stability of Islamic banks. And vulnerability here refers to the condition from the internal banking operations. So if you combine these two items between shock and vulnerability, you will get some understanding on how these two things will create the systemic risk. Yeah, systemic risk. So systemic risk here is the condition whereby the failure of one institution may induce to the failure to other institutions. Yeah. Therefore, if you look at this condition in the case of Indonesia, I'm sure in Malaysia as well, the central banks or monetary authority come up with the prudential regulations. The prudential regulation here are divided into two aspects: micro-prudential, whereby here related with the financial authorities, banking operation. And second one is macro-prudential. Macro-prudential here refers to the environment where the banking system or banking sectors is located. So this micro and macro are all together combined in order to promote the financial system stability and limiting banking vulnerability. Yeah. So this one is just overview how the transmission process. For those who are studying economics, macroeconomics, or banking management, will know that the banking, systemic banking that I said before here, actually is initially by the shocks, and the shocks are transmitted through some channels. And if you said about channels here, there are some channels. Yeah, and here one of the channel is balance sheet, asset and liability. And this balance sheet, if the balance sheet is not resilient enough, it will create some risk, either credit, liquidity, market, and operational risk. And in this risk, if not well managed by the banking sector, will also affect on the bank lending. And this bank lending, if much affected by the banks, will create systemic risk, and systemic risk will create some impact to the economy, either in terms of the crisis, yeah, and others. And here, the next one, my dear students, if you talk about systemic risk here, you see here is the business cycles. Yeah, business cycles. So here is the condition whereby the economy is slowing down, and then the economy is slowing up. Yeah, and the banking sectors will creating the systemic risk if the economy is going down right now, like now, the economy is going down and tends to increase in new normal, we may say like that. So on this case, we have to limit the economy, how the economy can not go beyond this turning around. Yeah, so this turning around must be ensured by the policymakers so that the banking sector is not that much affected by the external sector, external adverse environments or shocks. And here is just give you the overview how the linkage between the shocks. The shocks mean the factors that coming from the external factors, yeah, and the vulnerability here, whereby the factors coming from the internal banking sectors, and how we combine these two, yeah, create the optimal threshold, yeah. So if you can calculate this optimal threshold, basically you are creating the policy, yeah, how the government should respond and react in regard on the shock and vulnerability. So here, just in short, once the environment changes, the macro changes, yeah, and also the banking environment also changes, vulnerable, yeah. So they will change all the condition inside the banking sectors, either in terms of balance sheet and in terms of the social ecological system. And if this changes, yeah, of course, it will make the risk created. And the risk created here will give the risk signaling, yeah, signaling risk. And this signal risk must be accommodated by calculating the optimal threshold. So this optimal threshold basically will locate the risk into several positions, whether passing optimal threshold, above or below, or the second one is within the optimal threshold. Yeah. So if the condition is passing the threshold, so it means that the economy getting trouble or the banking sectors in shocks. But if within the optimal threshold, for sure the banking sectors remains resilient. So here the resilience here basically is the adaptive vulnerability. So even though the economy going up and down and banking sectors is affected, but as long as the threshold is not passing beyond or above, so the banking sectors is safe. Yeah. So now the idea is how we try to calculate the threshold, yeah, for selected portfolio financing contracts, yeah, on Islamic Bank, in particular in Indonesia. So I will show you later on to what extent the mudarabah, if we talk about financing contracts, mudarabah, musyarakah, yeah, istiqna, yeah, and others, that must grow and must maybe remain constant, to what extent they must be at that rate. Yeah. So here I'm trying to build up the methodology called composite indicators. Yeah. And here by using the early warning system, yeah, quite technical. Yeah, maybe later on we can learn together. And here's some literatures just to summarize that the literatures here summarize that the banking sectors basically is influenced by the interaction here among agents, yeah, that combine between risk and returns, and this relationship are feedbacks. Risk and return are dynamics, not constant, and therefore need to divide the optimal point to balance between risk and returns. So we cannot just go excessively to the risk and disregard the returns and the way around. So the risk and return must be in line, in parallel. But the question is how to make them in balance so that your banking sectors, your economic system remains stable and resilient. So here is this literature review. So I don't want to touch it more. But in short, some literatures, if you go through, yeah, there is still lack literatures that discusses the how we build up the threshold for measuring the resilience. some of the literatures they discuss about relationship between A and B, C and D, E and F. But once the relationship are defined, there is no any single formula or single alphabetical numerical examples to what extent this relationship is better or good. Yeah, to what extent? So it means that they must increase how much percent, and this one is very lacking, and therefore this research try to fill these gaps. Yeah, try to look for the optimal locations of the dynamic interaction between the portfolio in Islamic banks. And here, just the literature conceptual, just move quicker. And here, the research, the methodology. We try to adopt non-parametrics. Yeah, so the parametrics here will help you to build up the threshold. Yeah, between signals and prices. You see, my fellow students, that in financial system, yeah, we cannot avoid the risk. Even the risk is almost there. But the question here is how to mitigate the risk. Yeah, is the question mark. And this risk actually will be defined by look at the signals that posed by the financial system. So therefore, we have to calculate the threshold so that this risk can signals any imbalances in the financial system. And once the signal, so whether these signals can create crisis. So this is another question. Yeah, the failure of defining the crisis will impose to the cost to the economy. Maybe you can remember the cost of the crisis in 1998, 2008, yeah, even the current pandemics. So because we maybe failure to signals and try to mitigate the crisis, yeah. So therefore, this method will try to will try to answer this these questions. And the object is here we adopt mudarabah, yeah, musyarakah, murabahah, yeah, istiqna. Because these four contracts is mainly used by Islamic bank, even in Indonesia right now. Yeah, mudarabah and musyarakah and murabahah, for example. And the population Islamic banks, and this the periods. And here is the steps. Because this non-parametric approach, we don't follow the regular step, for example, by SPSS or FUs, what other software that you commonly used. But here is the steps. We have 15 steps here. And when we have gone to steps, we go models. Yeah, I don't want to talk this one very details, but it's just the steps. Yeah. And you see, we mudarabah, musyarakah, yeah, murabahah, and istiqna. Yeah, and to make it easy, yeah, to make it easy, so I try to put into two here: partnership contracts and trading contracts. Yeah, and once we have analyzed the data, yeah, we can see that the wage of mudarabah is here, here, and here. And accumulatively, yeah, the wage here is in the partnership contract is lower compared to trading contracts. It means that the lower wage for the trading contract for the partnership would be lower compared to the trading contracts. Yeah. And here is the rank, the parity, yeah, the rank. You will see that in terms of the risk, yeah, murabahah here is the first. Yeah. Second one is musyarakah, third one is istiqna, the fourth one is mudarabah. Yeah, based on the risk popularity rank. Yeah, and then here we just here the hierarchical consistency ratio. Just want to ensure that this calculation is correct or not. Yeah, and this one is below 10%. Yeah, the maximum is 10%. Next one, I will be. So here is the another funding, yeah, regarding with the signaling. I mentioned you before that when the prices become accumulated in the banking sectors, so the risk will be come out. Yeah. So how many signals that that posed by this particular contracts? You see that the signals frequently come out, yeah, from mudarabah. And second one is, oh sorry, mudarabah here is zero. The dynamics, the volatility of the contract in the mudarabah is within the threshold. It means that no beyond the threshold. But interestingly, murabah signals one. It means that this murabah is very volatile in terms of the behavioral contract among the customers. Yeah. So once the murabah here very big because of the signals, the risk, yeah, is very high as well. And the murabah here, if the signals is quite frequent in this regard. So you see that if the signal is 1, it means that higher vulnerability. So it means that this murabah will give probability to this, yeah, higher to the banks, yeah, due to unabsorbed shocks. It means that the shock is quite much and cannot be absorbed by Islamic banks. If 0, it means that the resilience is maintained, yeah, in terms of this contract. So you see from this one, murabah is the most vulnerable, yeah. The lower, okay, here, yeah, here, yeah, the mudarabah here is the highest. It means that if the bank, yeah, wanted to make the operation smooth or not too vulnerable, the Islamic bank must promote the mudarabah contracts. Yeah, even though the return maybe is not that much compared to the murabah contracts. Yeah, here. And the next one, you see, my dear students, that once once the banking sectors get shocks, yeah, so actually they need a time durations or horizons. Yeah, for example, the murabah, yeah, in that case very volatile. Yeah, so this volatility, how long it will transmitted into the banking operations? It means that will impose any maybe bad effects to the Islamic banks. So here we calculate the signaling horizons. Yeah, so horizon here will give you the overview how the predictions, yeah, once the contract become trouble and impacted to the banking sectors. Yeah, and from this one you can see here that is the horizon. Yeah, the mudarabah is 24 months. M is month, yeah. Musyarakah 1 month, murabah 6 months, istina is 24 months, yeah. Overall is 3 months. So it means that the longer the durations, yeah, it means that if once the contracts become trouble, So it will impact to the banking sectors for here in terms of mudarabah 34, musyarakah 1 month, murabahah 6 months, istithna 24 months. Yeah. So the longer, better. The shorter, perhaps quite bad. Yeah. Because this duration actually inform us about the readiness of the policymaker to avoid and mitigate the risk. Yeah. So the longer, it means the policymaker have longer durations or time to mitigate or maybe avoid, if can, the impacts. Yeah. And here is another findings. Yeah. So the longer periods here. Yeah. So means longer period from expansion to contraction phase. It means that if the longer periods, so the period from up to down, yeah, from up to down is longer. Yeah. So for example, right now the mudarabah here get trouble. Yeah. So it will impact to the banking operation 24 months ahead. Yeah, from now. Yeah. So it is the meaning of the signaling horizons. And here are the implications. Yeah. So the implication here for policymakers. Yeah. Mudarabah and istithna take longer period concerning policy adjustment before business cycle comes to reversal. Yeah. So it means that if Islamic bank wanted to be safe, yeah, so the banker must take the very much attention to maybe to higher the share of mudarabah and istithna. Yeah. For the banking sectors here, murabahah and musyarakah take shorter period for portfolio adjustment. So it means that if banking sectors try to have murabahah and musyarakah in a big share, in case that these two contracts get shocks, yeah, or vulnerable, so maybe it will affect to the banking sectors very short. Yeah. So here are the implications, yeah, for choosing which one is the best contracts or portfolio in the Islamic banks. And here is the last result, my fellow student, that here that I say before about the optimal threshold. Yeah. So if in summarize and to make it easy to understand, if you as the banker, yeah, and you want to maintain your banking, your bank safe, if in case there is any shocks or any crisis outside there, so you have to maintain your mudarabah growth. Yeah, it is around 1% until 4% per month. Yeah, and if you have musyarakah contract, for example, please ensure that the growth of the musyarakah is 3 until 6%. And you have murabahah contract, ensure that your murabahah contract share increases for 2 until 3.6%. If istithna here 1 until 3.7%. So if you go beyond that, for example, yeah, go beyond that, for example, more than 4%, more than 6%, and others, so your banking sectors will be easily vulnerable once the shock coming in to the banking sectors. And the way around, if your contracts growth is maybe lower compared to the 1%, 3%, 2%, so it means that your bank is very stagnant. Yeah, you are too prudent. Yeah, and if you're too prudent, then you will be very difficult to find out the profit. Yeah, no profit will be generated because you don't do any activities. So the best thing is you maintain the growth within this percent and that percentage. And if you maintain this percentage, you can see here the optimal conditions in which Islamic bank is capable to maximize returns, minimize risk, or Islamic bank are able to absorb shocks and remain facilitating financial services. So you are resilient. So here just the visualization of the graphs. Yeah, here is the threshold, upper threshold, the red one, and the yellow one is the lower threshold, and here is the 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 movement of the contracts. Yeah, and you can see then where and when the respective contract here passing the threshold or within the threshold. And here is the composite. Yeah, so if you compose all the contracts, yeah, into single index or single measurement, you can find this one. Yeah, so this one could be the surveillance tools. Yeah, to monitor to what extent the contract move up and down within the threshold optimal. Yeah, and I think that's all, professors and my dear students. Yeah, so the conclusion is the shock and vulnerability are the basic motivation for and mitigating the impacts of systemic risk on Islamic banking in Indonesia. And on parametrics and early warning tools, detection are used to calculate the likelihood and mitigating the impacts. Yeah, and then trading contract give more wage compared to the partnership contracts, which implies the build-up risk could dominantly stem from the trading contracts, according to the signals extraction result. And every contract has its characteristic, particularly in terms of optimal time horizon, where the longer time horizon would imply to the reversal from expansion to contraction and vice versa. Yeah, and the level of financing growth must be maintained within the optimal threshold of its financing contracts. So at this point, it will be capable to maximize returns, minimize risk, or absorb shocks and remain facilitating financial services. Yeah. And this one just the suggestion and limitation. If you want to extend this study, yeah, you can just look through this limitation. Yeah. So I think Malaysia, the study on Malaysia still lacking. Yeah. So maybe we can maybe study later on how if we imply this concept in the case of Islamic Bank in Malaysia. I think that's all, my friends, my professors. I hope you can get some information or overview, and then if you have any discussions or inquiries, most welcome. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dimas, for sharing very interesting finding and also input based on the research had been made. Okay, so especially on how to mitigate the risk. Okay,
Yes, Prof.
risk, because risk is very important for Islamic banking and also Islamic financial institution, because too much exposure of the risk will affect and also will give back impact for the banking operation, especially.
Yes, Prof.
When the banking operation or the bank collapse, of course, the whole economy will be affected, will collapse also.
Yes, yes, correct, Prof.
Okay, and then interesting also that in the research also you have divided the trading contract and also the partnership contract, masyarakat and also trading, and then the result also shows the difference, okay, between both contracts, both types of contract, and then also the in terms of time horizon, the longer time is better lah. Okay, so I open the question, if any, or discussion from all our students. So we have almost 70 students.
Yeah, so this student is coming from your class, Prof, or
yes,
another
my class.
classes?
Yes, the class
very
for Islamic banking, principle and operation of Islamic banking. So I open any question you want to ask directly, or you want to put your question in the chat. Also welcome. Okay, silakan.
Silakan. In bahasa Melayu pun mungkin saya boleh paham.
In bahasa Indonesia or bahasa Melayu or bahasa English.
Bahasa Inggris.
You can translate, okay?
Ya, silakan.
Silakan kalau ada soalan daripada pelajar mahasiswa final year ni.
Actually, Prof, just now we had a discussion with the head of Financial Services Authority of Indonesia, Prof.
Okay.
So just now I was moderating one of the seminar by this OJK. I think you heard before OJK, Prof. Financial
Not.
Services Authority. This is the partner of central banks.
Central bank. Okay.
Yeah, look like central bank in
Okay.
Indonesia. So the head coming into our university and give a guest lecture. And from his lecture just now, he mentioned about that the current economy is going to be recovered, but the keywords in order to recover the economy is how to massive vaccination, vaccinated people is massively given, and it will maybe give the herd immunity later on, from like that. So the keywords how to make the economy and health is going in balance, how to make the citizen vaccinated fastly, so that the economy can go in the normal again. And second one, he mentioned as well about the risk of the financial system, whereby it changes the behavior from consumption to saving. So you see that during the pandemic, no one's spending, isn't it? So they are working from home, like you and I.
Yes.
So our consumption portion are given to the in the form of saving. So this amount of saving then transmitted into the investment through the banking sectors. But the problem, Prof, is that how we strengthen this financial system, financial services, in power of the people, the demand is not that good. Still very low, because there's employment is going high, and then the people is not getting back to the jobs. Yeah, so this is the challenge, Prof, that he mentioned just now.
Yes, I agree, because now is the phase of still in the recovery, so a lot of things that we need to relook.
Yeah.
Especially now in Malaysia, there's an increase in the price of some of the product. Okay. Product beverages. So perhaps before the economy fully recover, so there's some challenges. Okay. The increase of the price, okay, unemployment, and also a lot of things we need to what we call to put in order before the economy can fully operate as normal as years ago. So still in the what we call challenging phase for the economy, not only in Malaysia. The price hike of certain product also in Europe, in Turkey, in some of the countries, okay, and I believe also in Indonesia also, okay, the price hike of some certain product services that affected some of the businesses, because as we know that in the MCO, the pandemic, most of the we call businesses are affected very much badly, adversely, because of the pandemic. And then if they want to recover, need time for them to recover. Okay. Because most of the companies, businesses are affected. And then as you mentioned earlier, because of the new normal, most of us, we work in the house, so we reluctant, or we limit ourselves to spend. Okay, we don't need to spend on the what we call transportation, for instance. So that one will somehow will give benefit to the consumption of the household, but another thing is for the business. Okay, to survive those challenges. Okay, give advantage in some people, and then give some advantage for businesses especially. Okay, ada soalan apa-apa tak ni daripada pelajar ni? Menarik ni untuk kita bincangkan ni. Tak ada ya?
Maybe here, Prof, if
Okay.
we meanwhile waiting for the student
Okay.
discussions, my idea here is, Prof, actually, how if we look for the balance actually, Prof, between the health and the economy, Prof. I mean, the balance here is we see that the economy is not that good much, still recovery, but the health process also is in the process as well. I mean that the vaccination is also in process. So how we now build up or calculate the formula. So to what extent that the level of health is standardized, and in these standardized health conditions, to what extent the economy is allowable to grow. It means that to what extent the inflation is low, to what extent is the maybe the rate of return is low, as also the exchange rate and others. So that it means that we have to look for the balanced position between economy and health, so that there is no any sectors that left behind. It means that the priority is both actually, but by setting up the level in which these two sectors can go hand in hand together, Prof.
Okay.
In my research, I'm trying to research this thing actually, Prof. Look for the balance between the health and economy. So we cannot sacrifice the health for the sake of economy and the way around, because we cannot just ask the people to remain at house, but no income they got during the work from home, Prof.
Yes.
So they will be dying, but because of not COVID, but because of they cannot eat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course, there's
yeah.
a strong relationship.
Dilemma.
Yes, between the health, the protection of health, because health also
Yeah,
one of the, if you look at the Maqasid Sharia also, it's under
yeah,
Doruriyah. Okay,
yeah,
health. If not, people will die. And when people die, no one will, because people who are going to, what we call, to manage the economy, okay, to contribute to the economy. So again, both are very important, especially for the government, to protect the economy and also the health of the people. Because when people are healthy, of course, the economy also will grow significantly.
yes,
But
yes, Prof.
we must remember that in order to have a vaccination, we need to spend a lot of money, okay, trillion of dollar, okay, first dose, second dose, and then now booster dose. A lot of spending a lot of what we call money and also energy. That one also will affect the economy. But for me, there is no what we call limit to protect the health. Okay, the government must protect the health of the people, because these people will contribute back to the economy.
Yeah,
If they are dying, and then no one will contribute to the economy, and then the economy will be worsened.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
my opinion. But
yes.
of course, the challenges for government, especially for Malaysia, for instance, we need
Yeah.
to borrow money, a lot of money, okay, to get the vaccination, to dose,
Yeah,
and of course to help the businesses. They
yeah,
provide the government provide the assistance for the household, provide assistance for the businesses, but uh, the 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 assistance is for short term, because in the money terms they are happy, people are happy, they're getting money, but
yeah,
after there's no more money, and then they ask more.
yeah,
So the government need to borrow and borrow and borrow.
yeah,
So
yeah,
actually the people will suffer in the future, not
yeah,
because of the money, government have a lot of money, but because they borrow.
yeah,
Can solve the problem short term, but in
yeah,
long term, the people will suffer at the end.
yeah, yeah,
That's challenges for the government,
mm,
especially Malaysia now in the process of election. Okay,
yeah,
perhaps
yeah,
next year, so the government has to make wise decision
mm,
for for political reason. Actually, there's
yeah,
also challenges for the
yeah,
government and also for the
yeah,
people, for the businesses.
yes, Prof.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Prof. I guess that the student
Hmm.
maybe is preparing for the exam, Prof, perhaps.
Yes.
So they
Some
are
of
focusing
them.
on the exam right now.
Yeah,
But
they
I don't
done.
mind, Prof, if there is no question or discussions. Hopefully, you and I here have organized the discussions, and we can meet and silaturahim each other, even though virtually. Yeah, hopefully the student can get the idea then and get some overview, and maybe at the end of the day, perhaps they will inspire the concepts, and maybe will try to implement to the current practice of the banking sector in Malaysia. That's fine.
And inshallah, we will be, you know, if as mentioned, the extension of the research can also be made in Malaysia. Again, we can
Prof.
We can have what we call
research collaboration, Prof,
collaboration to have a proper
Prof.
finding in Malaysia as well.
Inshallah, Prof.
Inshallah. Okay. Any last word from you?
Prof.
Any conclusion?
Yeah, perhaps personally, Prof, I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation to Prof, Professor Muhammad Ridwan, and also my dear students. For your information, my students, that Prof Ridwan and I actually, alhamdulillah, have very good relationship since before COVID-19. We always visit USIM, even 2018. I think December 2019, the last time I visited you, Prof, that we handed over the journals and information with the staff there, and inshallah we do committed to always invite USIM staff and students to come to UMY, either in the form of staff mobility or student mobility programs. And inshallah, next year, Prof, we will have a summer course program, summer school program, and we will also need your support, Prof, and also the student perhaps can join even virtually over as soon as possible. So Prof Ridwan can go physically to UMY,
inshallah,
and can go around here for 1 to 3 days, and also the way around, I and my team as well can visit Malaysia, because I have lost my here, Prof, my chance for 2 years, Prof. The passport cannot be used. You see, passport.
Okay.
So the passport is going to be expired, and it means it has been 2 years since last 2 years not being used to travel. So hopefully the pandemic is over as soon as possible, so we can get silaturahim physically as soon as possible. That's all, Prof. Perhaps thank you very much again, Prof. Stay safe and healthy, Prof.
Okay. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Dimas for his valuable and interesting sharing of the finding of the research. And then inshallah we will meet again on Wednesday for my session. I also have submitted the poster. You can comment on that, the new poster for my session, inshallah, on Wednesday. So see you again. Okay, thank you very much, and welcome for your sharing today. So indeed, it's a very good opportunity. Okay, so we meet again, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof, and all students.
Thank you, Dr. Dimas. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Dimas.
Thank you. I put my number in the chat box. If by students, if you need some information, consultation, and others, please just text me. This is my Indonesian number. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. See you again, okay?
See you, Prof.